let's talk Manchester derby, shall we? We haven't had the opportunity to discuss this yet, Craig.
Well, there's a reason for that.
Well, you're off yesterday.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
Ali was away.
Well,
Some days I've got other things to do.
Well, Ali does. I'm not sure if you do.
Well, I was watching Ali on MLS.
OK, let's talk about the derby. What was your big
One-way street. One-way street. City didn't even have to play at their best. And they weren't at their best, particularly in the second half. They were a little bit sloppy by their recent standards in possession, giving it away. But it still wasn't enough. I mean, in the first half in particular, United, for the money they've spent and the supposed quality they've got, the inability to keep the ball and have any sort of ball retention was horrendous. I mean, horrendous. It was a big lump up the field. It was like a lower division team in the first half playing an FA Cup tie against one of the big boys. They were like frightened. Oh, we've got it. Launch it up, and then it's coming straight back.
Yeah, it was Manchester United's version of West Brom playing against Manchester City. I mean, how is that any different in the level of play, particularly in that first half? Because there was no ball possession, because there was no combination. What really caught my attention is the comments by Jose Mourinho after the game where he's saying Manchester City got lucky, that they're lucky. Lucky. 65% possession. They had the ball. They carried the game. They created the chances. They behaved themselves as if they were playing at home.
Sure.
This was happening at Old Trafford. It was Manchester City knocking the ball around at Old Trafford. And somehow it's lucky. It's not about luck. It's about talent. It's about execution. Manchester City has plenty of that. Manchester United, not enough as compared to Manchester City.
If you're going to defend deep, if you're going to rely on counterattacks, if you're going to let teams have possession, one thing you have to be very good at is defending set pieces. You concede 2 goals on set pieces at home, and that's the difference between you winning and losing. It's not good enough.
And the other thing I would say is that on the one chance you have, and that's what you're going to have if you're Romelu Lukaku.
The late one at the end.
Right.
You have to score.
Yeah.
You have to score. That's why they bring you. It's not to score against Burnley. It's to score against this team, in this game, in this moment. That's why you're there. You want to be world class? That's the goal you got to score.
The other side of the coin is if you're going to beat a pressing game, which City played particularly early, you've got to have the stomach and the bottle to try and play 3, 4, 5 passes to get out, not just launch it forward. And then you've got 2 of the most talented youngsters in the league, and Marcus Rashford, and I'm thinking more of Anthony Martial, who, by the way, is in the French team at the moment. And Man City have got a left-back in Fabian Delph, who's a centre midfielder, filling in. That's all he is. He's a fill-in. You can't get the ball out to a wide guy, particularly Martial, and say to him, isolate Martial, don't take his space up, and you get at Delph. If you can't beat him, you're in
Plus,
trouble.
Walker's booked early on. Right. You know, you try and take advantage of that. That didn't happen. Julian is still with us. What was your takeaway from the derby, Julian?
Well, I felt like United were playing not to be humiliated, and that they were almost playing knowing they were going to lose, or if they were going to play their normal game, they would be beaten quite heavily. So they played to try to not concede too many and not be humiliated. And in the end, they got a bit of luck because they had that huge chance for Lukaku to actually get a point. But the game could have been over and should have been over well before that anyway.
How much responsibility, Craig, should Jose Mourinho take?
Lots. Buck stops with him. I mean, I know on Friday I talked about on the show, how they've scored goals and all that. But and I don't mind a defensive game, but there has to be a structure that gets you out of that defensive game eventually and gets you on the front foot. I mean, all right, City's goals were 2 set pieces. That's unlike them. They've had problems at the other end with set pieces. But United's goal was a mistake from Fabian Delph. Yep. I think it's wearing thin. I think it is wearing thin. And by the way, the Premier League, the rest of the teams need to have a good look at themselves. I know City have been particularly good, but they're all buckling under the pressure. It's all that they're folding under the pressure of people saying to them, you're never going to be as good as Man City. You can't beat Man City. You can't play like them. And they all at the moment look as if they're frightened.